A sinking fund is a way of planning for a known or expected expense that is coming in the future that you can save for month by month, little by little, in preparation for that expense, so that when that expense comes around, you are not shanghaied by some huge charge. The first sinking fund that everybody needs to have is a car expense fund. This would include regular car repair expenses. Every car is different, but AAA recommends that you should be saving about $50 a month for each car that you own. That would add up to be about $600 per year per car that you own. What could also be included in this category are annual car registration fees or any annual inspections that your state requires for your car. One thing that does not come out of this account is your gas fund. All right, gas is a regular monthly expense. It's something that you should be saving for and budgeting for in your monthly budget. The second sinking fund that everybody needs to have is a home repair fund. So this is particularly if you own a home. Just like having a car, you have regular home repair expenses that happen, probably not monthly, but probably happen at least once a year. It is estimated that you should be saving about $1 for every square foot of livable space that you have in your home. So for us, for example, our home is a little bit over 1,000 square feet. So annually, we should be saving about $1,000, which means we should be putting about $83 a month towards a sinking fund for our home repairs. Thankfully, in the last 2 years, we haven't had a ton of maintenance issues with this home. I would say the biggest thing that we did have to do was, before we got married, when I was living in this home, I did have to replace the fridge. I hadn't even been living here for a year yet. The fridge had completely crapped out on me. It had been over 15 years since the fridge had been replaced, and I had out of pocket pay $1,600 for that fridge. Just a regular expense. It doesn't happen very often, but having a sinking fund would be perfect for an expense like that you know you're going to have eventually, but aren't really sure. So when that big expense does come around, you're not completely out of the water and surprised by the expense. Additionally, in this category, you could include any of your property taxes. So particularly where we live, our property taxes is paid twice a year. So we could be saving monthly for us to be able to pay those property taxes twice a year. The third sinking fund that everybody needs to have is a medical fund. So that would be in addition to paying for your health insurance. This could include paying for prescription drugs, any medical equipment that you may need, certainly any glasses or contacts. I go through contacts often, but not enough to be monthly. So it's not a monthly expense for me, but having a medical fund would cover me paying for my contacts. The fourth sinking fund that everybody should have is a vacation fund, or you could use this also as a date night fund if you are married or if you have a significant other. This would be for anyone that obviously desires to go on an annual vacation, let's say, or even a vacation 2 or 3 times a year. In that fund, you can save for airfare, you can save for rental cars, for hotels, for any activity costs that you have or souvenirs. Calculate what you generally may pay for whatever vacation you want to go on, whether it's a road trip or somewhere you're flying out of the country. You can generally know what your budget is going to be for that trip, and then calculate how much you're going to need to save per month to be able to reach that goal whenever you want to go on that vacation. The fifth sinking fund that everybody should have is a holiday fund. This is huge. It's December right now, but this could be for any holiday, whether that's Valentine's Day or Thanksgiving, any of those things, or even if you have kids and they want to pick out a Halloween costume, or if you want to buy Halloween candy. This is a fund where you put money away throughout the year, and then when that holiday comes around, you know where that money is coming from. Even for us, coming into Halloween, we wanted to give out candy, and at that point, we didn't have a sinking fund for the holidays. We just got married, and we were kind of scrambling to get candy, but also fit it into our budget. So it didn't really work. Had we had this holiday fund from the get-go, we wouldn't have had that problem. But this could also include if you are hosting a Thanksgiving dinner, paying for all of that food for a big Thanksgiving dinner costs a lot of money. So maybe putting a little bit of money per month away for that dinner can really relieve that burden when that dinner comes along. Then you can just enjoy that time with your family and not have to worry about all that stress of where the money is going to be coming from. This could also be Christmas decorations if you want to get Christmas decorations when December comes around. This is also certainly for presents or stocking stuffers if you are buying presents for your significant other or for your children. If you send Christmas cards, that could include any cards you want to buy and the postage, because you know that postage always adds up. That's shocking extra expense that I never remember. Or lastly, it could also include if you are traveling for the holidays. I know traveling during the holidays always becomes like the most expensive time to travel. Saving up that money over time, you're not worried when you actually have to just fork over all of that money for that plane ticket to see that family that you may not want to be seeing. Yeah. And the one moving fund that we are using that is not included in this list is actually a moving fund. So we are potentially planning on moving within the next year. It's not certain yet. I already know that moving in any capacity, whether it's like across the street or anywhere, is very expensive. We are anticipating needing to move potentially, and so we are saving for it right now. Now, that money may not be used because we may not be moving. We know that that money is there if we do need it. The first long-term sinking fund that everybody should have is a new car fund. So if you know you're going to be needing a car in the next few years, the sooner you start saving for it, the less you're gonna have to save for when you do need to buy that car. So for example, if I knew I wanted to put a down payment of $3,000 on a new car 1 year from now, I would need to save $250 per month for me to get there by 1 year from now. The second long-term sinking fund that everyone should have is a down payment for a home fund. So this obviously is going to take a while to accumulate if you are trying to hit that 20% down payment mark. And this is where I do really want to encourage you guys that even if you don't feel like you can save thousands of dollars per month towards whatever goal it is that you have, those little chunks of change every here and there is going to make a difference. So even if you can't put $1,000 away, if you can put $50 away, $10 away, all of those things get you closer to your goal. But even then, $10 or $50 or $100 is better than $0 at all going towards your goal. So don't minimize those small contributions that you make towards those sinking funds. Oftentimes, these expenses are regular expenses, but they don't happen every month, so they're hard to budget for in your monthly budget. But saving for these expenses monthly relieves a lot of that burden when that expense does come around. Some people may be asking right now, what is the difference between a sinking fund and an emergency fund? And what I'll say is within a sinking fund, you are saving little by little, month by month, for an expense that you know is going to happen sometime in the future. So that amount for that sinking fund should not always be fully met, but it also shouldn't be fully empty. It's just there in case you need it. An emergency fund is specifically for expenses that are unexpected. So sinking funds, expected expenses; emergency fund, unexpected expenses. So those things are if you're in a car accident. Nobody plans on being in a car accident, but sometimes it does happen and that's an emergency. But it's really just there for emergencies, not for planned expenses. The point of having all of these sinking funds is primarily so that it relieves the burden that you have when these expenses come. It's going to help your home run just a little bit smoother with a little less stress, as opposed to when an expense does come and you're not prepared for it. The stress that comes on can really change how your home is running in that moment. A little bit every month goes a long way, so don't miss those $10, those $5 contributions towards those sinking funds. And like I said in my How I Made My First $100,000 video, it helps you stay out of debt. Debt is the primary way that's going to sink that net worth of yours. By helping you stay out of debt, you can still move towards all of those money goals that you have. It also is going to prevent you from charging things to a credit card that you aren't going to be able to pay off the balance at the end of the month. And that in turn helps prevent you from getting into any high interest debt. Unexpected and expected expenses are going to happen. That's just a way of life, and having sinking funds is just a way to help you be proactive in those unexpected and expected expenses coming. So how do you incorporate sinking funds into your budget? So this involves just a little bit of planning and preparation, but just use a sinking fund as a line item in your budget. So we have a category for our home. In that category, we have a line item for our home repair sinking fund. So every month we're putting away $83 in that sinking funds so that when something does happen down the road, we have the money to pay for it. Sinking funds are very personal. They're going to be personalized to you in your budget, in your lifestyle, with your family. And these are all the categories that are just here to get you started. If one doesn't work for you, that's totally fine. Figure out what works for you. Maybe a great way to start is to maybe think about any large expenses that may be coming in the next 6 months to 1 year. And then honestly, just start putting a little bit of money away towards that expense every month, whether that's $10 or $50, whatever you feel like you can. Just get started. Sinking funds can either be what is called a revolving sinking fund, or it can be a one and done sinking fund. So a revolving fund can be something that's regularly occurring either every 6 months or every few months. It's something that money is always going into it, and then money is really always coming out of it, and then that fund is never going away. Whereas a one and done sinking fund is something where you are saving for one particular goal that you know is going to happen for one time, let's say a one-time 10-year anniversary vacation, you saved for that, and then once you take that vacation, you don't need that sinking fund anymore. So sinking funds are changing all the time. That's why budgets often change from month to month. So where do you keep your sinking funds? So traditionally, some people like to keep their sinking funds in cash envelopes. It makes it out of sight, out of mind, so you're not even thinking about that money in your bank account. Modernly, a lot of people open up different bank accounts for those different sinking funds. For some people, like my husband, having too many bank accounts is kind of overwhelming, so that may not be the route for you, which makes envelopes completely fine. Just make sure that you keep that money in your home in a safe place. I would suggest having a safe with that money in it. And God forbid, in case something were to happen, at least that money is in a safe place. So why do sinking funds work for large expenses? So sinking funds can be for large expenses like a car, or they can be for something that you want that's on your wish list. So for something that you want that may be a lot of money, by saving over time, by the time that you do have that money saved, you are going to second guess and be like, do I really want to spend my money on this item? I just spent 3 years saving for it, but do I really want this item? Because you have that delayed gratification in getting that item, it's gonna really make you think about whether you do want that item or not, or whether you want that money to be put towards something else. Right now, we live in a very instant gratification world. I mean, Amazon is more instant than I can imagine anything else being. If you like this video, I think you will love this video where I share with you my secret money saving strategies that helped me save my first $100,000. Thank you so much for subscribing down below and hitting that like button. Thank you guys for watching my video, and I will see you guys in the next one. Bye guys.